What's up, everybody? Thank you again for jumping on the Steelers to Go, your daily to go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. I'm Noah Strackbein here every single Monday through Friday. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talk or anywhere you get your podcasts. Today, we're talking Steelers minicamp and what we want to see out of the Pittsburgh Steelers in this upcoming week. First, let me apologize for the raspy voice. I love that time of year where you're dealing with the sore throat, you got crazy allergies, and you're not totally sure if you just have the common cold or COVID, so you stay away from everybody. That's what I'm dealing with right now, but that's okay. We'll be cleared up for tomorrow when we head back to UPMC Rooney Sports Complex, and we're good to go watching some more football. This is what I'm looking for when I'm there. Two offensive things. One, enough Mason Rudolph. Give me some Kenny Pickett. We talked about this so many times already, and I just don't understand why we have to continue talking about it. At what point are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to look at this and say, Kenny Pickett is now part of this quarterback competition? Everybody on the outside, all of the national media keeps talking about how Kenny Pickett is the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Kenny Pickett is the favorite to win this quarterback competition. He's not even involved in it. At no point have we seen enough Kenny Pickett to say confidently, this guy can start for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. I truthfully believe that he can. I believe that he has all the skill sets to. I believe that he's NFL ready enough to. But he hasn't been involved enough for us to say he could do it. They'll give him the opportunity. Right now, they're not giving him any opportunity. Why? Because they're giving it all to Mason Rudolph. Mitchell Trubisky should be the one. We get that. It should be his job to lose, as it is. But second should be a mix of everybody, Chris Oladokun included. You don't add these guys in and make this a true quarterback competition if your true quarterback competition is one guy in Mason Rudolph, who we've seen enough of. We know exactly what we're going to get out of Mason Rudolph. We know exactly the type of quarterback he is. I could tell you the way he turns his head during progressions. I can tell you every receiver he's going to look at before he even looks at them. Before every single play. We've seen 4 years of Mason Rudolph. That's enough Mason Rudolph to understand what we're going to get out of him. And yeah, he's doing some things. He's trying to be mobile. He's trying to take on a leadership role. He is doing the right things. I get that. He should be part of this competition as well. But he shouldn't be just the other guy. Because at that point, you're limiting this to one person, and that's Mitchell Trubisky. Mason Rudolph is not going to beat out Trubisky. It's not going to happen. He doesn't have the talent to. The Steelers have already seen enough of him, and you're not going to bring somebody in for 2 years who's a former number 2 overall pick and say, Mason Rudolph is going to start over you. That's not why they brought him here. If they told Mitchell Trubisky, hey, you lost the job to Kenny Pickett, that's understandable. You just lost the job to a first-round pick who has a ton of upside, who's the future quarterback of this team. If you told Mitchell Trubisky, hey, man, you just lost to Mason Rudolph, for one, the entire fan base is going to lose their mind. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to the way that the Pittsburgh Steelers fans have reacted to Mason Rudolph, but it hasn't been with much positivity. There hasn't been much confidence in Mason Rudolph. But Mitchell Trubisky, if I'm Mitchell Trubisky, I'm mad because you didn't bring me in here to be the number 2 to a guy who can't win, who has less talent than me, less upside, who hasn't shown anything, who's been in the league as long as I have and hasn't been nearly as good. Look at Mason Rudolph should be involved in this competition. He should certainly be right there with Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky. I get if Chris Oladokun's just like the odd man out. I get that. But we have seen no Kenny Pickett. None. That doesn't make any sense to me. At some point, you have to look at him and say, yep, go ahead. Go rock with the 1s for a series. Go ahead. Go rock with the 2s for a series. He hasn't even done that. It's very difficult to say that this is a real competition. It's very difficult to say that the Steelers actually have faith in anybody but Mitchell Trubisky, or that you could have actual faith in guys like Matt Canada if Matt Canada continues to say Mason Rudolph is the number 2. How could you trust your OC when everybody on the outside understands who should be competing with who, except for the guy making those calls? It doesn't sit well with me. It hasn't sat well with me. At no point during OTAs did I sit there and say, this is how this should be done. At the beginning, I thought, yeah, Mason should be the number 2. Kenny should be the number 3. Then week 2 rolled around and I said, okay, we saw no Kenny last week. None. He's working with guys who aren't going to make the roster. At what point do we see him with Chase Claypool? At what point do we see him with Calvin Austin, the guys who are supposed to be the future of this offense? At what point does George Pickens get a run with Kenny Pickett? And then week 2 rolled around and it was the same thing. And if we're being honest, it was less. Mason Rudolph took more reps and Kenny Pickett took less. Minicamp should be an entirely different atmosphere. Because if you're going to walk into training camp and you're going to say the grounds of this quarterback competition have already been established, those grounds are going to tell everybody this is Mitchell Trubisky's job and Mason Rudolph is going to be the backup this season. That is not what anybody wants to see. That's not what anybody wants to hear. That's not what's going to make the Pittsburgh Steelers better. Kenny Pickett needs to be involved in this quarterback competition this week. He needs to be involved in team drills. He needs to take some number 2 reps. If he doesn't, I'm slowly starting to give up on Matt Canada before the season even begins. End of story. Number 2, I want to see some consistency in what the offense looks like. I get play calling is going to be very difficult to say. I get that it's going to take months for us to understand what this offense actually looks like. But I want to see what the wide receivers look like, because right now it's just, hey, you guys go out with these guys, you guys go out with these guys, you guys go out with these guys, and let's see what works. I get that there's certain players that need to be squeezed into that. Cody White has taken a lot of team 1 reps, but that's because Cody White's a veteran and he's been here. I get that. Deontay Johnson has to be here now, full time. If he's holding out on the side, that's a bigger story than any of this, but I don't expect him to be. If he's involved in practice, I want to see what the first 3 on the field are, because I have a feeling it's going to be Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and George Pickens. And then I want to see who the number 2s are, because right now Anthony Miller's taking a lot of number 2 reps when it comes to individuals and stuff. He's working a lot as the first guy in that line, and I like that. You know, Anthony Miller could prove some stuff. Anthony Miller came in here with some upside. He's not super young anymore, but he's a former 2nd-round pick. He's got some skills. But I want to see what that second line looks like. I also want to see where everybody's playing in that second line, because Matt Canada's offense no longer restricts wide receivers to one position. There's no Juju's playing slot, Chase is playing the Z, and Deontay's playing the X. It's you're going out there, you're going to switch it up. You're going to play across the field, because everybody in this receiving core can play across the field. I like that. I like that a lot. But I want to see some consistency. I also want to see some consistency in the running backs. I want to see who's behind Najee Harris. I want to see who and where Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland are playing and when they're playing. I want to know if Anthony McFarland is going to be another X-factor piece like he was last offseason, where Matt Canada tried to squeeze him into the slot, play a little halfback, play a little off ball, the whole 9. If that's what his game plan is, I think Anthony McFarland's skill set suits that, and it suits it well. I also want to know how much Benny Snell Jr. we're going to see, if he's just a pass blocker. Because if that's all he is, that's fine. Picking up blitzers as a running back is a key to the NFL. It is something that a lot of running backs, especially backup running backs, do not understand. Benny understands them well. We've talked a lot about this. We dove real heavy into Benny Snell Jr.'s potential and his value with the Steelers. And it relies in special teams and it relies in pass blocking. I want to see how much of him we see in the actual run game and how much we see Anthony McFarland in the backfield compared to everywhere else. I think that this week, mandatory minicamp, when everybody's there, and I get it's still shorts and helmets. I understand that by no means is the Pittsburgh Steelers offense going to take shape in minicamp, especially when we have 1 week before we take an entire month off before we get back to the field. But as we hit the field this week, I want to see those things. I want to see how consistent the groups are. You have 3 days, 2 practices, or 3 practices to say, this is the groups that we're going to head to training camp with. That gives everybody an idea of where they stand. That gives everybody an idea of how hard they have to work or how much they are going to work within this offense during training camp. I like that. I think it lays the groundwork. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers need the groundwork to be laid. Wide receivers and running backs will be one thing. I think laying the groundwork with quarterbacks is a whole other. Way more important. At some point, give me some Kenny Pickett. And at some point, give me some consistency. That's all I'm looking for this week.